Alright guys, it's going to be a little bit different from an usual video that I'm used to making. As you can see, I have my laptop with me. And today we're going to talk about something even more impressive and more important than anything I've ever talked about. Because today we as glorious YouTube kings together, you and me, because today has had some really important news going on. But honestly, I think it's time to talk about something silly and lighthearted. It's time to talk about NBA basketball, guys. Something way less depressing than real life. Let's talk about NBA basketball, guys. Alright, today we're talking about the Milwaukee Bucks. And I'm going to sneak a little bit of Cavalier love into this video. Because, I mean, you see the setup, right? You see the setup, right, guys? Right? You see it? Okay, good. I'm glad everyone can see it. Great. So, today we're going to be talking about the Cavaliers. So not only are we going to be talking about the Cavaliers today, we're going to be talking about the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, problem number one with the Milwaukee Bucks. Well, let me just do a recap for those who don't know what's going on with the Milwaukee Bucks right now. The Milwaukee Bucks are currently dead last in the Eastern Conference. Not only are they dead last in the Eastern Conference, they actually might be, and I do not say this lightheartedly, the worst team in the NBA right now. At least record-wise. Record-wise, they are 1-6. That is the worst record in the NBA so far. It's tied with the Utah Jazz. And honestly, I never expected the Utah Jazz to be contenders this year, so I'm not going to be hard on the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz are actively trying to lose games. So, hey! But one of these teams is competing for a championship, and they are doing their damnedest to do none of that, right? They're just doing absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, none of that, all right? That's, You might be wondering, what's wrong with this team? You might be wondering, has this team shown any signs of life? You might be wondering all those things, but today we're going to recap. Not only are we going to go and recap 2 games that they played against the Cavaliers. One was this Monday and one was Saturday. I'm going to give you context for both of those games because, honestly, I think if you add context, it's even worse for the Milwaukee Bucks. You might be literally thinking to yourself, what is wrong with the Milwaukee Bucks? And I'm going to give you a synopsis of not only everything that's wrong with the Milwaukee Bucks right now, I am going to give you a live, from my brain, immediately, dramatization of exactly how I think the Bucks can really fix everything that's going on with them. I'm going to give you a little spoiler alert. They cannot fix anything that's wrong with them right now. I have no idea what to tell you. Like, my God, the situation has been awful. I didn't think it could get this bad. So let me tell you what Giannis and Dame are averaging first real quick, because I know that's what you care about. Giannis and Dame. Now, Dame has played one more game than Giannis because Giannis missed last game that they played Monday with a leg issue. I think it was a muscle strain or something. I'm not really sure how much it was. I just wanted to bring this up as well really quickly. Dame is averaging throughout the season 27 points per game, which really good. 39% from 3, which really good. Free throw line, he's shooting 89% from the free throw line, which really good. Averaging about 8 free throws a game, which really good. And his turnovers are only 3.2, which, I mean, they could be lower. That's not that great. They could be lower. But there has been a limited amount of sample size, so I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. And those things are averaging like 7 assists per game. It's 6.7, but I read up. He looks impressive. He looked really good. And the games that I've watched, at least, of Damian Lillard. Keep in mind, I watched both of the Cavaliers games. He looked really good. He had 41 in the first game they played against the Cavaliers, and then he had I think he had a 36-point outing. I thought he had a 34-point outing. I was wrong. 36 points. Giannis had 34 points in that other game against the Cavaliers, and I'm only going to really be talking about the Cavalier game because I think these are the most relevant ones to my channel, and I think those are really the most I've watched this team so far this season, because honestly, I'm going to be honest, watching them beat up on the Sixers without Joel Embiid and Paul George did not move me in the slightest. And the fact that after that game, they had won no more games after that. They have won 0 games since then. I could do a little quick recap. I'm going to just give you a quick recap of what happened in their first game against the Cavaliers real quick. They played the Cavaliers really tough. The Cavaliers were coming off a back-to-back, and honestly, I thought the Cavaliers were going to lose that game. I'm going to be honest, I really thought they were going to lose. Especially given how the game was going throughout the first quarter. Giannis was getting to the rim at will. There was like very little resistance, and he looked like a superstar, which is, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the description of Giannis you would rather get. Giannis's numbers look like fucking prime Shaq right now. Giannis is literally, if I'm not mistaken, averaging 31 points on like with 13%, with 13 rebounds a game, with I want to say like 60% for the field. Could be wrong, but let's see what those numbers actually look like. 63% for the field is where I was wrong, and he's averaging 31 points. Yep, 3 turnovers a game, which not bad. He's a high usage. He's a pretty high usage player to be quite honest. And the worst thing I've seen about him so far is his free throw percentage has been abysmal. It's been 53.1%. That's not very good, like at all. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That's pretty bad. But honestly, these numbers look like prime Shaq numbers. These were the numbers I think Shaq would average in today's game. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And I was wrong about it being 13 rebounds. It's only 12 rebounds per game, which, I mean, oh, boo-hoo, he grabs one less board than you thought. So you might be thinking, with all of the production you're getting from these two superstar players, or at least very high-level star players, Giannis is the superstar, you might be wondering, what's wrong with this team? Well, Giannis and Dame have chemistry issues, to say the least. The pick and roll that we thought we would see from them, they don't run it for some reason. They don't run it, like, I don't want to say at all, because that would be misinformation. It's just the percentage of how much they run it is, like, really low, considering, like, we saw Dame and Giannis, and we were like, okay, well, if Harden and Embiid can do it, right, they can run this pick and roll, and that was really effective for them. And the fact that we've seen a lot of pick and roll play from Dame as of late, too. He's been running the pick and roll and pick and pop with Brook Lopez, so we thought he would run it with Giannis. Giannis seems like he's an unwilling screen setter, and I'm not saying he's a bad screen setter, but like he just seems unwilling to do it, and that Dame seems unwilling to run it with him. I don't know why that's a thing. I think Doc Rivers should just force him to do it. I don't know why he hasn't. Doc Rivers might just be too much of a player's coach to force his players to change and adapt for the better, which is not good, to say the least. Also, the team has been having very bad shooting performances, to be quite honest. They looked good. Now, their shooting that I saw against the Cavaliers, for a contender, I'm gonna make another video right after this of talking about teams that I need to apologize to, or teams I was just wrong about really early in the season. Because it's been explosive this year. It has been really, really hard to predict, and they've been really fun. It's been great. Okay, but like talking about this team. So the problems I've seen with Giannis, right? And I haven't made my Cavalier video yet, so I guess I'll talk about them in the later half of this video. They just the shooting and splits have been terrible from this team. This team has gone rapidly cold. Doc Rivers keeps trying to put a certain player, who I will name right now, Gary Trent Jr., into games that he does not belong in. I do not know why he gets so many minutes. I don't know what that is about, like, at all. I have no idea why he's receiving minutes. He's been god-awful for this team. I want to actually pull up his numbers really quickly, because I think it's really important to illustrate just how terrible he's really been for them and how many minutes he's getting, because it is truly probably one of the bigger issues that just has not gone talked about. I'm just going to pull that up real quick. Gary Trent Jr. active. We're going to pull his numbers up. He's been... I'm telling you he's been bad, but when I pull up these numbers, you're going to be like, oh my god, what the fuck? Yeah, and you really should say that, because, like, I'm just going to he is on a very small deal. I will say this. He is not supposed to be the type of production you would be seeing from, like, an elite role player or something like that. He's not that, right? And you don't expect him to be that when Chris Middleton comes back. But he's been terrible. Like, really, really, really bad. Like, it's tough to watch, really. It is so bad. That's 8 points per game. That's 8 points a game. He is averaging 92% from the free throw line, and it's because he does not drive to the rim at all. He does not create any contact at the rim. He does not initiate any of that. So he's not getting free throws per game. He's getting like 2 of them per game, which... it's 2 free throws per game. He has been shooting a putrid 23 point. I'm actually surprised it's that low. 23.1% from 3. And most of his shots are just 3-pointers, so don't get it twisted. Yeah, he's been doing awful. He's been terrible. And mind you, he's not receiving a little amount of minutes. 29 minutes per night is a sizable amount. And from the games that I've watched, it's a small sample size, but hey, just from the games that I've watched, he gets minutes where he just should not be playing at all. Like, this guy should only be getting minutes when, like, when their number one guards are not on the floor, because they have been torching him. And for the production that you're getting on from him from offense, it is just not enough, like, at all. I'm quite sure that his numbers here aren't going to reflect truly how bad he is. I'm going to look at his plus minus as well, just to pull that up. And by the way, plus minus is a statistic, right, where it truly just illustrates how bad a player has been, right? Just how terrible they've been. Now, in the game that I'm thinking about, where I was just like, why is he receiving any minutes? He scored 3 points. 3 points that game. Keep that in mind. He scored 3 points that game. And in that game, he had a plus minus of 8. It was positive 8. Now, the game that I thought he played better in, ironically enough, is the game where he was worse, apparently. I don't know how that's possible, but hey, I guess it is. In the second game, he was a negative 19. And honestly, let me just air out his dirty laundry real quick. First game, positive plus 11. They played against no one important, whatever. Second game, they lost this one, negative 5, negative 3, negative 21, negative 23, the first number that isn't negative in a while, 8 in that Cleveland game where they lost by 1 point, and he shot, he made 1 shot that game. So him having a plus minus of 8 has very little to actually do with his actual production in that game in particular. It had a lot more to do with the simple fact that he was only in the game when the Bucks were doing good, and he was slowing down their production. I was watching the game. This is a rare instance of where numbers lie, right? He hit 1 shot that game. That's not okay. That's not acceptable. He took 10 shots and hit 1 of them. That is 10% from the field. He was 1 of 7 from 3 as well. So the only shot he made was a 3-pointer. If he had been even slightly better, they would have won for sure. And by the way, the 0%, and you might be saying, well, him shooting 0% has to be an outlier from 3. No, he's done that before this season. In the Memphis game where they played against Memphis and they got shit on, and you looked throughout the game and you were looking through the roster, and I looked at the numbers. Just the numbers, because I didn't watch the game because I didn't expect them to get blown out by Memphis. I just thought, I wasn't worth my time and investment to watch them at that night. Everyone shit the bed except Giannis. Everyone did, because the Bucks only scored 99 points in 2024. A big 99 points in 2024. Now, in case you didn't notice, it's not 2006 anymore. Bush is no longer president. So if you wake up tomorrow and your team scores 99 points, expect to lose. Right? Kobe is not in his fucking prime anymore. He's not even alive anymore right now. And that was fucked up for me to say, honestly. But I'm not going to edit it out. These are raw takes and I just have to do that. This shit is fucked up, right? No. Terrible, right? He's been god-awful, and Doc Rivers just keeps giving him minutes. I have no idea. His minutes should be going to DeLon Wright, which a lot of better and smarter basketball players, or not players, watchers have stated before, and I second that opinion, because I feel like it's very obvious that he should not be getting minutes, because they are not productive minutes, and when he's on the court, again, he's negative for them. It's really, really sad, actually. My God. Okay, so what do I have to say about this team that's positive? The positive things that I have to say, and this is really not that positive. Chris Middleton hasn't played yet, so the team could look better. I'm going to put a hard caveat on everything that I'm saying right now, because these are all health concerns things. Dame is really old as far as basketball prospects people go. He's pretty not young anymore, especially for point guards. Or now, dime a dozen, you draft a point guard, and it seems like every year there's a new fucking point guard that's just better than expected, or just really peaking at a level that you've probably never seen a point guard peak at before, because you're used to watching terrible basketball. And not me, though. Can't relate. Me personally, I grew up with Russell Westbrook, John Wall, and Dame, and all that, them and Kyrie, and all that era. But like now, it's just like, oh my God, there's so many goddamn good point guards in the league, right? Dame's really expensive as well. That's not good. Giannis has flown under the radar for this injury-prone player, and I don't know how it's been possible considering he's been injured in the last playoffs and the playoffs before that. And the fact that that's just not been talked about and discussed is really certainly something that's questionable. Really, I have no idea why no one in the media ever talks about this. I have no idea why my contemporaries don't talk about this either. Like, my predecessors don't talk about it either. I never really heard anyone address and like talk about his injury concerns. Like, it's just not just because of his play style either. Like, might just be injury prone. That might be something to look out for. And he said, and the reason he was out on that Monday game is because he was playing through an injury apparently this entire season, which it didn't look like it was hampering him. So I'm not gonna say it's too bad, but at the same time, like, not a good sign. Yeah. Chris Middleton hasn't played. He is also injury prone as of late. And when I mean as of late, I mean over the past 2 to 3 years. Chris Middleton has probably been injury prone a lot longer than this, but again, I wasn't paying attention to the Bucks in this level of depth and nuance that I have been now. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a recent development. I could be wrong. Someone could tell me really like quickly and be like, dude, he's been injury prone this year, or like I could pull up the numbers right now because the laptop's right next to me and pull up his numbers of games. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about how this team has got even worse. From a coaching perspective, they have Doc Rivers, and they have been losing nothing but they have lost. They have a losing record with Doc Rivers as their head coach. They had a winning record with both of their previous head coaches before Doc Rivers, and they fired both of those guys to wind up with Doc Rivers. Just keep that in mind. They fired Adrian Griffin, who was Nick Nurse's assistant, who they didn't get Nick Nurse because Giannis doesn't like him. That's really that simple. Giannis does not like him. That's why they didn't get him, because Giannis doesn't like him. I want you to remember that LeBron did not like Eric Spoelstra, and that these are this is a business. If your star player doesn't like a coach, yeah, that's fine. You probably don't want to keep them, especially if they're not successful. But if they are successful, you just tell your best player, because they get paid to play basketball, to shut the fuck up and dribble. Like actually, when that happens, you tell them to shut the fuck up and dribble. I pay you millions of dollars to play basketball. Shut the fuck up and play basketball for this coach. Now, unless this coach is a fucking piece of shit person, unlike someone where like everyone fucking dislikes him, you should probably shut the fuck up and play basketball. All right, that's what I pay you to do. Now, I'm not saying these owners have that fucking right and audacity and tone to talk to them like that. But realistically, this is what they need to do: shut the fuck up and play basketball. Like actually, when like you don't know what you're talking about, you should shut the fuck up. When I don't know what I'm talking about, I shut the fuck up. I'm pretty confident that Giannis should not be meddling in the offense anymore, or really in anything anymore, because it seems like every play that he's made to get this team to be better has backfired. Also, I would like to point this out. This is something I'm proud to talk about, because I thought firing Mike Budenholzer was a fucking miss the immediate second they did it. Mike Budenholzer has a new job. He's the Suns head coach. I'm going to just look up their record right now. Typing with one hand. The Suns have a record of 6-1. It is the exact inverse of what the Milwaukee Bucks have, and I thought that was funny. I want to talk about that because the Suns are also the second seed in the conference, and they're gonna also have a large portion in that video today talking about, man, oh man, did I open my big fucking fat mouth and not know what the fuck I was talking about. So if you're ready for me to eat shit and apologize, get ready for that video, because this video is gonna be going up, and I'm gonna be recording that one as this goes up. Yeah. So, I can't wait to. The video probably will be titled, I'm an idiot, I have no idea what I'm talking about as far as basketball goes, or something like that. But, like, yeah, if you like this video, subscribe. If you don't like this video, like it anyway. I'm a small channel. Why are you hating on me? Get my dick out your mouth.